Hey, what is up, everybody? I am here to give you a special kind of video today. I'm here to give you a the DX Confidential review. I was originally going to review it right after I made my Raw review last night, but I had some technical difficulties with my network, so it didn't happen the way it happened. So I had to wait till like right now, I guess, because technically it was like midnight when I was watching it, so I had to wait till I woke up. Um, and I thought this was good shit. Um, so DX, the only members of DX that did this were Triple H and Shawn, since they were like the leaders of DX. So they were really the only members that did this. And Michael Cole was like the host, so he was like the one asking all the questions. Um, and the first question, he just kicks right. It just kicks kind of right off the bat with the question. And Michael Cole asked how Triple H and Shawn Michaels met. And Shawn Michaels gives like kind of like a vague um, description because I don't really think he remembers it much. He talks about how him and Kevin Nash or Diesel were going to main event the WrestleMania 11 for the at the time the WWF World Wrestling Federation championship. And then Triple H came up and said he wants to work with them. He didn't really care about the heat, and then it just kind of went from there. But Triple H gave more of a story about it. He talked about how he was friends with Terry Taylor when Triple H was in WCW, and at the time I think Shawn Michaels was in like Mid-South Wrestling, and Terry Taylor thought they would work good together, so he put a word in for him, and then he and Shawn Michaels was pissed about something, and then he introduced himself, and then he's like, oh hey. At first he was just kind of like a vague oh hey. And then he went on continuing talking to Kevin Nash, and that's how that situation broke out. And they thought it was great. And then they showed a clip. It was the curtain call, because this was like the famous click that happened, which consisted of Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Diesel or Kevin Nash, and Razor Ramon or Scott Hall. And they talk about that famous curtain call that happened. And it happened, on notes. It happened in Madison Square Garden on May 19th, 1996. And it showed, that night, it showed Diesel and Shawn Michaels in the cage, and then Triple H and Razor Ramon, they all raised hands together. And I think people knew that Diesel and Razor Ramon were going over to WCW. And this was like, like kind of showing that wrestling was fake, because that night Triple H and Razor Ramon had a street fight, and Diesel and Shawn Michaels had a steel cage match for the WWF Championship, which Shawn was the champion for. And they got pissed about it because they like ruined the name of wrestling. They showed that it was completely fake, but they thought it was fine. And then it shows some clips. Scott Hall and Kevin Nash going over to WCW, becoming the Outsiders, and then Hulk Hogan joining them and becoming the New World Order or the NWO. And Triple H and Shawn Michaels talked about how they didn't care about the ratings. They didn't care what was going on in WCW. All they cared about was what was going on right then and there. All they cared about was what they were doing, and the way they could get themselves over was just to act like themselves. They just act like themselves afterwards. And they talk about all the comedy skits that they have done. Like one of them that they showed was the DX Apology, and it happened on Raw, February 2nd, 1998. I actually forgot to tell you how DX came about. It came about when they were on a cruise, and they said they hated being on this cruise just because they couldn't even like leave their like cabin for a minute because there was like a bunch of fans on there, so they would like be like mangled. And Triple H makes it look like to pay that check that they got, they would get buying another boat to get off that boat. But then they talked to China, and they thought it would be a good idea to have a woman bodyguard, because Triple H had somebody else before. When he was Hunter Horace Helmsley, he had a different guy. And they were still calling him Hunter Horace Helmsley but they called him. They just used Triple H as originally a nickname. And then 2 years later, like just before the Hell in a Cell match that Shawn Michaels had with the Undertaker, they started calling him Triple H. And Triple H said, yeah, but they came up with the idea just to kind of work together, and they thought it would be cool to have a bodyguard, to have China as a bodyguard, and they thought it would be cool. So then I'm going to talk to you guys about the DX apology, which happened on Raw, February 2nd, 1998. And if you haven't seen this, go out of your way to check this out. On the network, it's not as good, obviously, because, well, on this, I don't know what it's like then, but it's all censored. Go check on YouTube, because it's really uncensored. And this is, like, awesome shit. The USA Network were getting pissed that Triple H and Shawn Michaels were, like, saying stuff they weren't supposed to say. They were saying too many swears. So they had gotten a letter from USA, and Vince McMahon showed it to them. And Vince McMahon was pissed about it. So then he came, but he was, like, happy about that at the same time. So then he came up with the idea to have them just read everything out and make fun of the USA Network. And the USA Network actually liked it for it. But it was it's awesome shit. It's really hilarious. Check this video out. Triple H, they even like say the words afterwards. They even like we promise that we won't say shit, fuck, goddamn, all that kind of stuff. And then Shawn Michaels just goes, oh shit, and Triple H like, watch your fucking mouth, and Shawn Michaels like, fuck me. And then Shawn Michaels at the end says, I am appalled that people think that I slept with that young unpaid intern last night or something like that. And he's like, I want to make a note that I did not sleep with her. I was up all night. It was like awesome shit. You guys need to check that shit out if you want to see that. That was like the funniest shit ever. I saw this the first time. I laughed my ass off when I saw it, and I continued to watch it. And it is just awesome. That's like that's funny as hell. Like when I saw it at first, I was just looking up stuff, and then they played that clip because it was like one of the video's funniest moments in the WWE/F, and that was one of the funniest moments, and it really is that funny. It really is. And then they talk about the stuff that they like doing, and I think Michael Cole asked what their favorite thing was doing when they were. I remember it was when they were in DX and in the ring, anyways. And Shawn Michaels talked about how his favorite thing was doing the Christmas bit where they pulled down the pants, and I guess Merry Christmas was written on their ass. I haven't seen that yet, and it censored it when it showed it on the network. And when they played strip poker on Raw, which I'm gonna go check out. And Triple H said his favorite moment was after Shawn left, when him and the other members of DX, the New Age Outlaws, Billy Gunn, and the Road Dogg, X-Pac, and Chyna, and when they went to invade WCW, and because WCW was like right across from them, and they didn't really like that, so they went and invaded WCW with an army tank. And when they closed the door, they realized they didn't have a plan. And Triple H said that he never believed that, even though like they were higher in the ratings, he never believed WCW was better than the WWF. He always believed that the WWF was better. And then he said that he talked to Billy Kidman and he told him what was going on, and Billy Kidman couldn't believe it. And Michael Cole even asked him a question like, did Shawn Michaels and Triple H want to leave and go to WCW like Scott Hall and Kevin Nash did? And they said no. They said that they wanted to stay in the WWE. Triple H said I think Vince McMahon even said that Triple H even said that Vince McMahon was going to fire him, but he didn't want to because he's too talented. And Triple H says that's fine. As long as there's silver lining, as long as I'm going to continue to get opportunities, I will stay. And he stayed, and I think he was happy. And I like that. And then they show a good DX moment when Mike Tyson joined DX. It happened on Raw, March 2nd, 1998, so a month after the DX apology. And it's just Shawn Michaels and Mike Tyson teasing like they're going to fight. And then Shawn Michaels tears off the Wrestling Federation shirt that Mike Tyson was wearing, and he was wearing a DX t-shirt. And he stands tall with DX in the ring. And then Shawn Michaels ends up they talk about that, and they talked about Shawn Michaels was starting to get pissed about stuff, um, because of his back injuries, and they went to like this Mike Tyson practice, and he was pissed at them in the car, so they didn't really say anything. And that Mike Tyson practice actually ended up turning out bigger than they thought. They didn't even have like enough cops to cover up everything about these riots, so they I think they didn't really think like a bunch of people showed up, and I don't really think they thought, because this was around WrestleMania 14. This was like the WrestleMania weekend, and Shawn Michaels was cutting a promo on Stone Cold Steve Austin because he was going to face him at WrestleMania 14, and then someone I guess threw a battery at him, and he just left, and Shawn and Triple H and Mike Tyson looked at each other and said, "I don't think he's coming back." And then they talk about when he retired, and they talk about when Shawn retired, how he was just pissed because he was just in a bad mood, I guess, all day because of his back injury. So then he even said that he just laid on the floor and stretched his back. He wouldn't even talk about what's going to go down with the match with Stone Cold Steve Austin. So Triple H finally had to do it. And then afterwards at the press conference, Triple H thought he was going to go on a rampage and just throw shit. But instead, he kind of went there quietly with Vince and Shane McMahon, because you saw Shane McMahon down there, and he said he isn't going to retire from his back injury. So then Shawn Michaels left the WWE, so then Triple H, he talked about how he had to carry a load for DX, and people didn't think he was going to be able to do it because he was just like the sidekick for Shawn Michaels, which was very true. But he ended up doing it, and it was either like make something continue to exist or break it. So I thought that was good. So then they fast forward to 2002 when Shawn Michaels was coming back to the WWE after 4 years, because now it was called the WWE. I think it just started to become called the WWE, and Shawn Michaels, because he was going through some drug problems, obviously. So then he finally cleaned himself up, opened his Christianity, and Vince McMahon always offered for him to come back. So then he called him up and said he was coming back, and Triple H said that they were going to work a match together. And the first night, Triple H pedigreed Shawn Michaels on Raw, and it led to their big feud. And they even said too that they didn't really talk to each other, because Shawn Michaels didn't really know how to work the match really, because he hadn't worked a match in 4 years. They said even it was almost 5 years. And they said they didn't really talk to each other because of all the problems that Shawn Michaels was going through. And Kevin Nash finally got them talking, and then when that day on Raw, Triple H went to the hotel across the street to talk to Shawn, so they didn't really talk to each other. And then they had the match, and they had like a 40-minute match at SummerSlam 2002, and Shawn Michaels was able to get the win after Triple H won the pedigree with the sunset flip. And they knew that he still had it. And then they continued. They talked about how the Elimination Chamber is brutal, because Shawn Michaels and Triple H were both part of the very first Elimination Chamber. And how Triple H and Shawn really tore their asses in that chamber. It really is like the most destructive chamber ever. It's like the stuff they make out of Wolverine's claws. And Shawn Michaels talked about how the company didn't show mercy to him, kind of joking around. They put him like 3 stages Hell match. They pretty much had every type of match. Hell in a Cell, Last Man Standing match, all that stuff. And then they talked about the return of DX, because in 2006, and when Triple H and Shawn Michaels were having big time matches, Triple H was facing John Cena, and Shawn Michaels was facing the chairman of the company, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. And how they both did the DX shop in the match. So he asked if they knew they were going to be reforming DX, and they said they didn't know yet. They just did it out of natural. And then they show the clip when DX impersonates the McMahons, which is Shane and Vince, and it happened on Raw June 26, 2006, and it was awesome shit. When Vince McMahon talked about when Triple H was pretending to be Vince McMahon, he talked about how he loves cocks, and and then Shawn comes out and then says that Triple H tried to take this face and put it up the Big Show's ass, and then they talk about, and then he starts, and then And then he starts doing the Shane McMahon dance, and Triple H is like, "Stop it!" And he's like, "You want to dance, pal? You want to dance?" And then they do the Vince McMahon thing when he was dancing with all these chicks. It's funny as shit. They didn't show the part though when the McMahons came out with the Spirit Squad, which is Kenny or just Kenny Dykstra, Mitch, Johnny, Nikki or Dolph Ziggler, and a bunch of other people. It dumped crap on them, and they talked about how they got paid for doing that, and they loved doing every second of it. And then they talk about the match, the matches with Undertaker at WrestleMania, and how they like working together. And they talked about the end of the era match, Undertaker versus Triple H, with Shawn Michaels as a special guest referee in a Hell in a Cell match. And Triple H talked about how they mainly just talked about how it wasn't just it wasn't like an end of an attitude era. It was an end of an era. Like this was going to be the last time all three of them were going to be in the ring together. And then it shows them hugging in the back, and then afterwards, Michael Cole asked them this one question, like if they could go back in time and talk to themselves as a kid, where they list and give themselves advice, what would it be? And they said nothing. Shawn Michaels says that they both say that you have to have mistakes because if you change one mistake in your life, you wouldn't be the person that you are now, which is true. I really wouldn't change anything about myself either. And then even Sean said that people were giving him advice and they weren't listening to him. And then Michael Cole asked a funny question: where did the term "suck it" come from? And at first they talk about "suck it," the actual term "suck it." So then they start to have like the talk with him, and then like where did the DX term "suck it" come from? And they just said that they were just saying it to anybody in the car, and they were doing this because they couldn't flip people off. So that's how all that came out. And they made some jokes too about how Michael Cole, they made fun. They did a lot of stuff to Michael Cole, like put him in the shower and bully him. And then that was and Triple H kind of said, thanks to all the fans. Without you guys, we would never be here. We're just as much as fans as you. And that was the end of this DX Confidential. And I thought it was pretty good. I really liked it. The only thing I didn't like was they didn't talk about their return in 2009, that they didn't talk about the Hell in a Cell match, and that they didn't talk about how the New Age Outlaws and X-Pac were in there. They only kind of included them in China. And Rick Rude, because he was in it for a little bit. I want to know if they did, because you could tell that they edited this a little bit, because it feels like that they just kind of, it wasn't like a full thing, it just kind of, you could totally tell that they edited, because they just kind of kicked right off. You could just tell that they edited. So I wonder if maybe like there's some unseen stuff that they happened. But that's pretty much it for the DX Confidential. I really hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I'll be back later on to give you another video.